now my mind is blown. No surprise, guess I should have known. Oh, now my mind is blown. No surprise, guess I should have known. You got control of me, break my barricades. Walls are crumbling, grounds they shake. You came to save, but it's way too late. Every single time you say I cave.
Good morning and welcome to Neurodivergent News once again. I am your host, Deanna Brakefield, the owner of Lionheart Kingdom Marketing. And here on Neurodivergent News, we really only have one mission, and that is to get people's stories out there, to get them the resources that they need so that they can live a resilient life. And today with me, I have the Resilient Heart Warrior. She's such an amazing woman. I have with me Miss Gabi Garland. Miss Gabi, please tell us all about yourself.
I'll give you the short version.
No, we want the long version.
I'm a mama first and foremost because that was the job that I wanted my whole life, and I became a mom at 21. I have my daughter who's 24, and then I also have my husband and I have a son that is 5 years old. And so for me personally, I am all about building connections, making new friends, growing in the community, and professionally, that's pretty much, it bleeds into my professional life as well. I own two companies. One is Resilient Heart Agency, and that is all the coaching and healing work that I do with women, both in person, in retreats, and one-on-one. And then the Resilient Voice Media portion of my company is all of the media side of taking voices and amplifying them to the world, taking the stories that we're told, the ways that we show up, and helping you use that as a marketing arm for your company.
Amazing. So tell me, what got you into Resilient Heart? That's an unusual name. What got you into all of this?
So Resilient Heart is two parts for me. When I remember sitting down and trying to figure out what I wanted to name my podcast before it launched, Resilient was the story of our life. I think, I'm adopted, give you like the short version. So I'm adopted. I met my birth mom at 21 and she's incredible. But my birth father was committed suicide when I was 10. So I unfortunately never got to meet him. And so I ended up having my daughter at 21, and that was within a domestic violence relationship, unfortunately. And so it was just she and I kind of rocking through life until I met my husband, and we got married in 2017, lost a baby early 2018. And then we got pregnant again with our squishy, and he was born with several heart conditions. He was also diagnosed with autism about a year ago. And so Resilient has really the story of how my family has gotten on the other side of some things that caused divorces and breakdowns of relationships and all those things. And so it's kind of the anthem story of my life is really what it comes to be.
I love that. I love all of that. You'll hear me say that a lot. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
It's wonderful to hear people have the strength to just tell their story and not be abashed about any part of it. So I heard you call your little boy your squishy.
Yeah.
Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Where did that come from?
So he's a heart baby. And so there was a point during the time frame between his first and second heart surgery, which is at 3 and then 5 months, where he was in the failure to thrive category. I was breastfeeding. I was eating what felt like everything in sight. I was trying to get really fatty milk so that he would grow. And one of the things that they don't really talk about much when it comes to heart kiddos is that space in between surgeries and that recovery when you're home and you're settled, but your body is still adjusting to the new norm based upon whatever they've changed or tried to or fixed to help him move forward. And he was in the failure to thrive category. So he had lost, he wasn't a very big baby when he was born, and he had started to lose weight pretty rapidly. And I sat in a meeting with his cardiology team, and my husband was at work. So it was just us. And they were like, we got to do something, because you could literally see the bones in his forehead and his skull, because all of that extra chunk that babies have, he just didn't have that. He had little tiny chicken legs. And I just remember thinking, like, there's going to be a point where he's squishy, and I cannot wait for it. And so that was as soon as he started getting chunky, and I was like, oh, look at all this squish, because I just think babies that are like, just, you just want to bite their little legs. He wasn't that baby. And so once he started getting squishy, then that was his nickname. And he's 5, he'll be 6 in March. And that'll probably be he'll be a 40-year-old man, and I'll be like, squishy. And that's just going to be his life. So that's how squishy came to be.
Now,
Once he, yeah.
I know how rough it is to have a baby like that. My youngest, she's 3 now. She was the same way. By the time she was like 2 or 3 months old, she had lost weight, not gained it, and so almost skeletal. And it just breaks your heart because you know you're doing everything you can.
Yeah, that hurt was from like a very primal place for me, because if you think about being a mother, like, we're meant to nourish our babies and our bodies are built for this. And whether women decide to breastfeed or not, like, feeding your baby and keeping them healthy is like a primal need for us. And so to be falling short of what he needed when he needed me the most was like really, really hard. So when he started getting chunky, I was like, man, Squish, that's it. That's his name.
It's on. I love that. So tell us about your little boy, if you don't mind. You said he's autistic?
Yeah, so we got his heart diagnosis when I was 20 weeks gestation. He had a heart surgery at 3 weeks, one at 5 months, and then another one at 4 years old. His doctor described him as being the best case scenario of a bad situation. And that has rang true through his life, kind of in general, because heart babies that have his particular diagnosis tend to have a bunch of other issues that he doesn't have. And
okay,
that is a huge blessing for us, because I feel like it has made what he's needed and how we've been able to support him so much easier, because he's a lot more stable. It doesn't mean there weren't times where we're in the hospital a lot, or everything's always escalated when you have a heart kiddo. But we got his autism diagnosis about a year ago. And yeah, it's just been finding the safe spaces for him, because I think everybody thinks that they're inclusive or they're kind until somebody is different, and then they make them the enemy. And I'm not about that. I just think we are all different in our own ways. And if we can't look at other people that move in the world differently than we can and implore the most of kindness, then we have no business doing business. And I found the most incredible school for him, and is thriving. He's got an ABA therapist full time now, who I am not fairly certain, I am certain that she was literally an angel that was dropped in our life, because that is his best friend. Like, you can't tell him nothing about his girl. He is all about it. And so he went from at 5 months ago, not really talking at all, to he's got about 30 words now, and he's doing communication, and he was nonverbal when we started for the most part. He would say words here and there, but it wasn't like you could ask him something and have him respond to you. And so seeing the leaps and bounds that he's just doing the most incredible things, that I felt like, man, this may never happen. Like, this may be the baseline. He may be nonverbal forever. And I think getting to see and cheer for him when he's like, please and no and bowl, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like it's like a dance party every time he talks, because I'm just so excited to get to talk to him and for him to want to talk to us. But when we moved here, I wanted to find a school that was inclusive. And then we were on the search for, because the local school system had a very limited time frame that he would be at school. And I knew, and my husband knew, he needs more than 3 or 4 hours a day to really make a dent in the growth that we're looking for him to get to, because there was this very strong hope that if we could get the right people in front of him and get the right help, that he could absolutely flourish. And so I put on my advocate hat, and I did research for probably 2 days solid. I mean, it was a lot of research trying to find the therapy place that I felt like was the right fit. And for any mom a mom or parent has to navigate the autism world, there are so many people in the world that have some sort of on the spectrum needs. And so the wait lists are substantial. He was on wait list for like 18 months for OT and speech in our new city. And it was just like, what the hell are we going to do? Because I didn't want him to fall behind. I wanted to really get him ready for school. So we ended up finding an ABA therapy company, and they were trying to find somebody for him. And if there's a mom that's listening that is in this process right now, I want to tell you, you need to be the one that is in their ear, in their inbox, on their phone calls. You want to be the one that they see every time they wake up in the morning, they see a message from you that you're waiting on this. Because what so many people do is they get into this despair part of how bad it sucks for the wait lists and the stress and all of it, that they don't keep calling. They're like, well, maybe they'll call me when it's ready. But I truly believe my following up and my diligence is why he got placed within like 4 or 5 months, when a lot of people, like I applied for it, we got all this paperwork in on October and she started in May. So I guess it was almost 7 months. But normally when I talk to other moms, it's like a 2-year wait list for an EBA therapist full time. And so she's been with him 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday, since the week after my birthday. So
that is phenomenal. And you're right. The wait lists are absolutely atrocious for any kind of therapy. And it's so crucial that they get in between 3 and 5, really, because if you wait too long, then you just close that window for social skills.
No, and he's in a neurodivergent autism school here in town, that when I moved him to this daycare that he went to prior to this, I had a really honest conversation with the director, and I was like, he's not ready for kindergarten. I don't want to put him in kindergarten and watch him absolutely diminish because he's not going to be able to talk to his peers. He's just not going to be able to do it. And she's like, well, we're actually opening an autism school that should be open before the school year is over. So he spent from May through end of July at the daycare there. They basically made space for him in one of the rooms that the kids were less verbal. So it was like the 3-year-old group. And he made little friends for the first time. One of his little BFFs goes to the school he's at now. And they're like, it is the sweetest thing ever. He doesn't really understand, like he doesn't know how to like console somebody in terms of saying something to you like, oh, I'm sorry you're sad. Are you okay? But when she gets upset, he just goes and sits next to her and he stays there and he just sits next to her until she feels better. And I'm just like, he is real-time learning, even without words, how to hold space and love for other people that you care about. And it makes my heart so happy.
So if you don't mind me getting a little bit serious for a second, I have to ask, a lot of moms, especially, when we have failure to thrive babies, when we get diagnoses that are less than ideal for the people we love the most in the world, depression is a real issue. Did you experience that through this process?
Absolutely. So we came off of pregnancy loss. So we got married in November. By Christmas, we were pregnant, and that was the plan. It was like try to get pregnant as soon as possible. And at 16 weeks, I lost his big brother. It was due to what they believe was from the blood clot that was in my leg, because I was really, really sick that pregnancy. They had put me on antidepressants because my hormones were just an absolute shit show. And I was struggling. I was really mentally struggling. In between that pregnancy loss and then getting pregnant with Squishy, we lost the baby in March, and then we got pregnant again in July. So it was a very short time frame before we got pregnant again. And so my hormones were a mess. I went into pretty deep postpartum depression in the middle of it. And then we got pregnant with him, and I felt like maybe I'm not even pregnant. Like I remember taking extra tests because I was like, he's just chilling in there. Like he's not positive. Like I was throwing up constantly with the first pregnancy. And so this was a very calm pregnancy. And so it was just like, this could be like, I just remember thinking, this is the answer we've been waiting for. This is the gift. This is like, my daughter's 19 and I'm finally getting to have a baby with somebody that I love who's amazing. And then at 20 weeks, we got his diagnosis and it put me in a tailspin. I don't think I have cried that much in a very, very, very long time because I was really angry is really what it was. So there was the depression, there was all the anxiety of what was to come, but then there was the anger for feeling like I couldn't catch a break in the environment that I was always told and grown up believing when you get married and you have a beautiful home and you have a happy marriage and you're checking all these boxes and then life hands you this and you're just like, what the hell, man? Like I was really mad. And I think the anger was the more prominent piece that I dealt with during that time. I've now learned how to, one, deal with the anger, but also to harness it in advocacy of him, because that fire didn't need to go away. It just needed to be channeled into something that could actually be productive, not just for him, but for me as well. And so there was depression for sure, but there was also this very deep burning, I want to just figure out everything that I can possibly figure out to help him grow and learn and evolve.
So I assume, you're saying he has a little friend now. He's starting to speak. He's 5 now. We've moved past most of the heart issues.
The thing that I want people to know when it comes to congenital heart disease is the surgeries are not a fix. They are, it doesn't mean that doesn't have CHD anymore after 3 surgeries. All it means is that they have a series of surgeries for his particular condition that allows for him to grow into a next stage of his life. So what essentially happens is the first surgery gets his body to a certain size and capability and output. And then the next surgery happens so that as he grows, he can grow within his body and have his heart support that growth. And then this last surgery that he just had in January of last year is what will take him into adulthood. He will have, unfortunately, probably needing some sort of liver help at some point, because this particular last surgery, while it's the answer to his particular heart defect so that he can have a long, beautiful life, it also causes deep pressures within his body that always affect the liver. And so sometimes they need liver transplants later on in life, 30s or 40s years old, but he'll start with a team that will monitor his liver enzymes and all of those things starting at 7. So it's never out of the woods. It's always something. There's, where normal kiddos and people look at him and you couldn't tell if you looked at him, he's like the perfect poster child of you don't look like what you've been through, because he is spicy and just full of his eyes sparkle all day. He wakes up in the morning with this joy that makes it impossible to wake up and be grumpy. I am not really a morning person, and he is just so ready for the day every morning that I'm I can't not be ready for that. That can't not affect me and inspire me to get up and be excited about the day too.
That is so inspiring. And I'm glad you got a morning kiddo, because with neurodivergent babies, half of them are up at the crack of dawn and the other half are, you can't even get them to crack their eyelids at noon.
I am the latter. I would stay in bed till noon if I could, for sure.
Absolutely. So all of this amazing journey that you've been on the last 5 years or so has led you to start your own business. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So it didn't really start out that way. So I launched Resilient Heart Podcast in August of 2020. And when I launched it, it was really, I wanted to give women a safe space to talk about the things they'd been through. And I also, after being outside of or past what I felt like was some of the hardest years, I wanted to share some of the lessons that I'd learned. I'd done a ton of healing work. I got a Reiki certification. I was just really kind of looking at all these different holistic ways that we can show up and grow and heal. And so Resilient Heart Podcast, within 2 weeks, I had my first paid speaking engagement. I had another couple of virtual speaking engagements. And then I had people reaching out immediately. Hey, do you do coaching? And I was like, well, that's what I did in my career, but I haven't worked for 2 years, from 2017 to 2019, because somebody had to be in the hospital with the baby, and my husband is the breadwinner in our family. And now it's nice to feel like more of a partner, because I built my company from hotel rooms, from hospital beds, from Ronald McDonald houses, from host houses, for overnight stays and for inpatient stays for him. And it wasn't what I set out to do. I set out to do a podcast, and then the healing work started to come. I did a lot of sales and marketing training for people, because that's my background, and helping women build relationships online that lead to sales, but don't have to be spammy and weird and awkward and do those awful messages that we hate opening on social media. And then the healing work came. And then as one of my clients did one of my programs, Me Season, which is my signature program, she was like, I found my voice. She's like, let's go. She's like, can you do my podcast? And I wrote my strategy for Resilient Heart that brought me to hitting 111 on Apple Podcasts the launch weekend. And so I was like, yeah, I'll write your strategy. I really didn't even know what to charge her. I charged her way less than what I found out the industry was charging. And I was like, okay, let's just go. And then it became client after client. Hey, I want to start a podcast. I found my voice. Hey, I want to start a podcast. And so a lot of times what will happen is they'll do a podcast and then do healing, or they'll do a healing and then come and do a podcast. And so I get to keep my clients for a really long time, which I absolutely love, because the women I get to work with are so incredible. But I did not set out with the thought process that I was going to run a company with people that I pay every 2 weeks. That was a very wild, little Gabi could never have imagined that for sure.
Well, has it been a blessing or a curse to be able to run your business from your home essentially and follow your son where he needed to go?
It has been the difference between where he is now and where he could have been if not. And I think there's been so many grieving points where I had to say no to a speaking engagement. I had to say no when my girlfriends want to go here. I had to say no to different opportunities to go somewhere and network, or go on a business trip, or go on these different things. There's been a lot more home than there's been out in the world. And so I'm happy that I spent all the years I spent building relationships online, because that has been the framework and the blocks that have built the company that I now get to call my own. And it was, I wish it would have been easier. I mean, like anything, there's points where if I didn't have a little boy with a heart condition or any of the challenges that he's had, I know my business would be further along, but I also wouldn't be the same person. And I love what this has required me to do and become. And so I can't look at it anything but gratitude, even as hard as it's been and as heartbreaking as it's been to go through this process. And so purpose looks a whole lot deeper for me, especially on the podcast side, because I don't think we know how much power and how much inspiration is in those really dark seasons of our life, and how much we can help and inspire and pour love into other people by sharing it. And I get to do that every day, not only for myself, but for so many clients. And it's everything. It really is.
It sounds like it's been a wild ride and you've enjoyed most of it.
Most of it. There's definitely, I mean, I'm not one of those people that does the sad cry pictures on social media or the videos of me sliding down the wall crying, but there has been more tears than there's been joy the last couple of years with some really hard things. And so it's a choice to be in gratitude. It's a choice to be in forward movement. It doesn't come easy for me, and it's something that I have to work on every freaking day.
Hey, no, I completely get it. I mean, it is a choice to get up in the morning and put a smile on instead of a bad attitude. It is a choice to bend down and hug a child instead of telling them, go away, you're bothering me, because you could go either way.
No, you can. And I think that's the hard thing is, I had a doctor's appointment yesterday, and it was really, I've never had a doctor sit with me for an hour and 15 minutes and just talk about what was going on and how could she help and what my health has done and answer all these questions. And I think for a mom that's listening, whether you've got a kid that's got neurodivergent or heart conditions or autism, whatever ways you have to support a kid, and even if they have no extenuating circumstances that require additional care, and we're not well, our babies don't end up well. Like, it sounds cliche. It's like, put your mask on before you help somebody else. Like, I get it, but I also know from personal experience that wasn't possible for quite a while for me, because I needed him to be stable before I could get anything together, because we are so deeply connected to our children that we feel all the things that they feel. We're in this with them. And I think the healing things that I've learned and been able to not only do for myself, but to do within my company is what has taken me out of what would have been a pit that I would never have crawled out of into a platform to be able to help other people grow and heal and amplify their voice. And that's tough. I would have, like I said, wished to have learned those lessons another way, but sometimes that's what gives the lesson. And sometimes you can't skip that part. And that sucks a lot sometimes.
But it is the essence of resilience. And it seems like you've got that in spades.
No, I do. I'm resilient enough now. I just want to thrive. I'm good. Take me off the list. I'm not a hard warrior. I want to just thrive and be happy and be peaceful and not feel like our family is in a fight for his life every day. Because that's a feeling I don't wish on anybody. And it's a lot.
I can't even imagine. I've never had one that ill before. My heart goes out to you.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell me, this is something I ask everybody.
Okay.
What is the most unusual hobby that you have developed through this entire wild ride?
I will never do this online, on TikTok, on Instagram, nowhere. But I have pretty much perfected most of Eminem's songs and can rap battle them.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's a great answer. What's your favorite song?
Lose Yourself. Like, if I need speaking engagement, the two songs I play are Francesca Battistelli, He Knows My Name, because even in the seasons where I was pretty pissed off at God for all that we were going through, there was a belief system that there was somebody that knew who I was and knew I was going to get on the other side of everything that I had to endure through my whole life. And then Lose Yourself was just if you can own all of this side and know that there's a purpose behind it, then you can just light it up. So those are my two songs that are essential. Anytime I do a speaking engagement, podcast interview, all of it. Those are my two go-tos. But yeah, I could totally get down on some M. I am like a super, super, super M fan.
That, like I said, that's the best answer I think I've gotten so far. I've gotten model buses and gardening and a handful of other, a little to the side, but not really. Yeah, listen at me get all.
I will not be doing it publicly, but just so you know, that's a talent I possess.
Amazing. So, what projects do we have on the horizon that my audience needs to be aware of?
So there's a couple things coming. So on the side of my agency that does all the healing work for women, my Me Season program that I mentioned, we're enrolling for the October class. My last girls just left me in September, and I was it's 6 months with me. And so you end up getting not only a coach within that 6 month container, you're going to get a hype girl for the rest of your life. And so I'm in the, what is normal for me, the grieving process of clients that I don't get to see every week, but I get to talk to as well. And that's a tough part for me. So the next class starts in I think it's the 25th of this month. There's also a Glow Up Your Show class that is for current podcasters. So maybe you had a show and you let it lapse 2 years ago, or maybe you have a show right now that just feels like, man, I'm getting 4 downloads. What the hell's going on? I need some help. So the Glow Up Your Show class is, let's look at everything. Let's break it all down. Who is your audience? All of the back office marketing things that I love to do, because that is really what lights me up. Getting people unstuck in the podcast space and in life is like my favorite thing ever. But figuring out why your audience isn't there, why they're not rocking with you, where are they, and how can we connect you to them is the biggest part of what we do within the Glow Up Your Show program. And that starts this month as well. So those are the 2 upcoming ways to work with me and get connected.
And so what would be, you said, tell them again, what is the best way to get in touch with you if they're interested in more information?
I'm Gabi Garland, Gabi, Garland, like Christmas garland, on every single platform. There'll be a link in here. I'll make sure that I give you a links to book a call with me, or you can just send me a DM. I am very much, normally I'm the one that answers. Sometimes an assistant will answer if I'm doing something or if I have like a busy day, just so that people, it's really important to me when someone reaches out to me that I get to them in a timely manner, because I really hate people thinking they're too good for that. So if I know I'm booked up, then I'll have somebody on guard to be able to help and to answer questions. So just send me a DM. I don't do pushy sales. I don't do back you in a corner. do you feel like this is the right fit? Here's what we do. Here's what I'm good at. Here's how I know we could help you. And if it's a match, it's a match and we move forward. And if it's not, I'm such a huge fan of, because I've built such a beautiful community of incredible coaches and people to refer people to. If I'm not the right coach for you in whatever capacity you're looking for, I know somebody who is, that I can vet, that I've already vetted and I know is an incredible soul. And so that's just kind of the way that I do business.
Well, now I know I'm going to have to touch base with you myself after we get done with this call.
There we go.
Do you have any final thoughts for my audience?
I think if you can take anything from what I've shared today, is that one, gratitude is a choice. And it sounds, you hear that, gratitude, choose gratitude journey, blah, blah, blah. But I can tell you from my personal experience, gratitude is what has kept me out of the pit to a place that I don't know that I would have ever gotten out of had I not gotten these skills. And so I always tell people, look for the lesson. It doesn't matter what the storm is. It doesn't matter how deep it is. One, the lesson, maybe I need help. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, is to look outside of yourself and admit to somebody else that I can't handle it, because we're taught that we have to soldier through. We have to warrior on. We have to keep moving forward when there is no gas in the tank and our feet can't hit the floor without our knees buckling. And I think it's a hell of a road, but I think when you can keep yourself rooted in gratitude and purpose, that it gives you the ability to keep moving even when you feel like there's no way, this doesn't even make sense for me.
Gratitude keeps the gas in the tank, keeps you moving. I love that.
It does. It definitely does.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Miss Gabi. It's been a pleasure. If anybody is interested in reaching out to Gabi, like she said, she's going to get me all of her wonderful contact information. It'll be available in the blog associated to this radio show. This has been another episode of Neurodivergent News with Deanna Brakefield and Miss Gabi Garland, and we look forward to seeing you again. Everybody have a blessed and wonderful day. News with Deanna Brakefield and Miss Gabi Garland, and we look forward to seeing you again. Everybody have a blessed and wonderful day.